Chapter 1041. Yinshan. What do you want? Ningxi finally came to her senses and asked the man. The man looked at his bloody hand, stuck out his tongue, and licked away the blood on his hand bit by bit. His eyes gradually turned scarlet, and he stared at her like a devil. He lowered his voice and said in her ear, I didn't want to do anything, but now. His tone made Ningxi's hair stand on end. I've already told you everything clearly. You saved my life once, and I've sacrificed myself for you countless times over the past 4 years. I don't owe you anything. Let's go our separate ways. What's wrong with you going your own way and me going mine? The man chuckled and pinched her chin. Ha, you don't owe me anything? My dear, not to mention that you're not dead. Even if you're dead and turned into ashes, you're still mine. If I go to hell, you'll go with me. This pervert. The man's expression was getting crazier and crazier, and he was on the verge of losing control. Not only was Ningxi tied up, but her body was also weak. She couldn't move at all, so she could only close her eyes and shout. You can't force yourself to do this. What's the point of doing this? Who said I like to eat melons? Ningxi choked. You. Even if you have my body, you can't have my heart. The man raised his eyebrows and twirled a strand of her hair. I only want your body. Who wants your heart? Fuck. Why didn't he play by the rules, when she was almost scared to death just now? She had been praying for someone to come quickly. Someone alive. As long as it was a living person. But now looking at the guy in front of her, she might as well see a ghost. She must have prayed in the wrong way. Wait. Don't you want to know why you chose Lu Tingxiao? Ningxi shouted again. Hearing this, the man's movements paused. His narrowed eyes were filled with a cold light. He looked at her with a smile that was not a smile and said, Tell me about it. Ningxi swallowed and heaved a sigh of relief. Perhaps it was because of the mention of Lu Tingxiao. The girl's expression seemed to soften and relax a little. It was something he had never seen before. The softness stimulated the violent genes in his body. Ningxi closed her eyes and said slowly, Yinshan, you know a lot about me. Whether it was when I was with my adoptive parents in the countryside, when I was taken back to the Ning family at the age of 18, or when I was abroad for 4 years, I had never been myself before I met Lu Tingxiao. Because I was afraid of being abandoned and sent away. I tried my best to please my adoptive parents and grandma. Because I was afraid of being hated and ostracized. I tried my best to please my biological parents and those celebrities. Because I liked him, I gave up everything to please Su Yan. In order to survive, I even buried myself. Speaking of this, Ningxi recalled her wandering years abroad, and a cold smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. But then the coldness slowly melted. After returning home, at the beginning of the 4 years of darkness, the hatred of revenge, I was still muddle-headed for a time, until I met that person. I met Lu Tingxiao. No one has ever treated me so well. He loved me, protected me, and doted on me. He was always suppressing and hurting himself in silence. He never forced me to do anything. I was only myself in front of him. Chapter 1042. Oh, that's all it takes to make you fall in love with him? The man's tone was full of sarcasm and disdain. He looked at Ningxi as if she was a silly woman who had been blinded by love. Ningxi took a deep breath and asked, Okay, let me ask you, if you walked into a room and saw the person you like was drugged with aphrodisiac, wearing transparent pajamas, and lying on a kg-sized bed covered with red petals, what would you do? She had asked Jiang Mai the same question before. Yinshan said, Love. Make love very good. This answer was very Satan, so evil. The corner of Ningxi's mouth twitched and she rolled her eyes. But Lu Tingxiao didn't do anything. That's the difference between you two. That's why I chose him. I won't take advantage of others when I'm at my most helpless. Yinshan, you don't know what love is. The man clicked his tongue. Are you sure this is love and not sexual dysfunction? Ningxi was so angry that her liver hurt. She couldn't bear it anymore. Get lost. You're the one with sexual dysfunction. The man chuckled hoarsely. Do you want to give it a try? I'm not in the mood to play tongue twisters with you. Let me tell you, it's okay to have a low EQ. You can study hard the day after tomorrow. I can teach you a killer move now. For example, At this moment you should learn from Lu Tingxiao and be a gentleman to untie me and let me go. Ningxi said patiently. The man snorted and said, I never walk the path that others have walked. Ningxi was so angry that she almost broke her front teeth. Damn, her brain cells were all dead and her mouth was almost dry. Why didn't this bastard listen to her? Anything else you want to say? The man held his head and asked with interest as he watched her collapse. Ningxi said, Damn you. Talking to this fellow was a waste of energy, playing the lute to a cow. The man raised his eyebrows. Scolding me? Ningxi. Haha, the only improvement was that she finally knew that this was a scolding. Why couldn't he improve a little in other areas? Darling, I'm advising you to return to my side for your own good. But if you continue to be with him, I'm afraid you'll be sad. The man said quietly. Ningxi rolled her eyes at him. Why would I be sad? Because I'll be a widow. Ew. Fuck. Ningxi was so angry that her heart, liver, spleen, lungs, and kidneys hurt. She blurted out, Don't be so arrogant. I don't care what grudges you have with Lu Tingxiao. My man is not easy to deal with. Your man. Yunshen's careless expression, which was like playing with a cat, suddenly turned into an overwhelming haze. Dear, you really know how to piss me off. Looking at the man's changing face, Ningxi immediately cursed in her heart. Damn it, I shouldn't have provoked him. I was so angry with him just now that I couldn't help it. At this time, the door was suddenly pushed open from the outside. Outside the door, Tang Yi looked like he was facing a formidable enemy. He stood there with a stern expression. When he saw Ningxi standing there, he revealed an expression that said as expected. He then turned to look at Cloudy Gorge. Satan. We're surrounded by Lu Tingxiao's men. As soon as Tang Yi finished speaking, there was a cloud of dust outside the window. The trees and weeds shook violently, and there was a loud roar of propellers. Chapter 1043. You came so fast. Just in time. I miss him so much too. The silver-haired man looked at the roaring private armed helicopters outside the window and snorted coldly. His eyes were filled with almost morbid excitement, and then he walked straight out of the door, completely throwing Ningxi to the back of his mind. Tang Yi also followed him. Before leaving, he turned to look at Ningxi with an indescribable look in his eyes. He had heard that Lu Tingxiao had a private armed force, but just for a woman, he dared to use his private armed force directly under the feet of the emperor. Hey! Don't go. Eldest senior brother, don't go. If you want to keep me locked up, just keep me locked up. But at least let a girl in to accompany me. You know that I'm afraid of ghosts. Before Ningxi finished her words, the door was closed again with a bang. These beasts. Especially Yunshen. Damn it, as soon as he heard that Lu Tingxiao was here, he ran so fast and left me in this damn place. You two should just go and live your lives. She didn't know if it was because Lu Tingxiao was here. Although she was the only one left in the room at the moment, she inexplicably seemed to be not afraid anymore. She hurriedly ran to the floor-to-ceiling window, leaned against the window and looked outside. Unfortunately, the light was too dim. She could only see a lot of helicopters hovering above her head. She couldn't see the specific situation at all, let alone where Lu Tingxiao was. No, she had to find a way out. What if Feng Jin came up with a bad idea again? Thinking of this, Ningxi hurriedly searched the room again, but after a long time, she really couldn't find anything suitable. She couldn't lift anything that was too big for her hands now because her hands were tied, so she could only hit the window hard, trying to break it. However, she didn't know what material the window was made of. It was so hard that her bones almost broke, but it didn't move at all. At the same time, in a courtyard overgrown with weeds downstairs, among the helicopters hovering above her head, one of them slowly landed on the ground, and then stopped in an open space in the middle. First, a group of heavily armed men quickly walked down from the helicopter. Finally, a man in a black suit with a cold expression walked down from the helicopter. From the middle of the armed formation, he walked step by step towards the eerie house in the middle. At this moment, the people in front of the haunted house were also fully armed. In the short period of time that they discovered that Lu Tingxiao had surrounded them, more than 10 people had gathered in front of the house. However, compared to Lu Tingxiao's serious attitude, the people on the haunted house's side were relaxed. The door to the haunted house opened, and a silver-haired man walked out. After seeing the silver-haired man, the people who were leaning casually suddenly became more solemn. Their attitudes were also very respectful, and they took the initiative to make a path for him. Two men, one as cold as ice and the other as evil as a ghost, walked towards each other step by step. As the two of them walked, the subordinates on both sides looked nervous, ready to fight at any time. Finally, the two stopped 10 steps away from each other. Their eyes met in the air with a boom, as if they had collided into each other. The silver-haired man curled his lips, and his scarlet eyes were spreading flames. He faintly looked at the man not far away from him, and the bloodthirst on his face became even stronger. We meet again. Chapter 1044. Lu Tingxiao said, "Hand her over." The silver-haired man held his forehead as if he had just heard a funny joke. He laughed hoarsely. "Heh, you intruded into my territory and asked me to hand her over. Boss Lu, you're funny." Lu Tingxiao looked at the time on his watch expressionlessly. 3 minutes. What he meant was obvious. He was giving him 3 minutes to hand her over. Once he was done with the formalities, he would ask for the troops. When the silver-haired man heard this, a strange smile suddenly appeared on his face. Then he raised his eyebrows and said slowly, "Lu Tingxiao, when she was at her lowest, most miserable, most desperate, and most painful time, I took her in and taught her all the survival skills and methods to protect herself. She and I belong to the same world. The world is so big, but in the end, she will still understand that this is the place that truly belongs to her." The moment the silver-haired man finished speaking, Lu Tingxiao's expression darkened. The murderous aura around him intensified, and he looked like a ghost. He was 100 times scarier than the ghostly man in front of him. Even Lu Tingxiao's subordinates looked at each other in dismay. As the night deepened, the thick ink-colored clouds above slowly covered the last trace of the moon's afterglow. Darkness covered the sky and covered the earth. After some time, Lu Tingxiao's murderous expression instantly turned calm. He looked at the silver-haired man in front of him expressionlessly. 2 minutes. At the same time, the subordinates of both sides raised their guns. The snipers in the distance aimed at each other's men. Everyone tensed up, ready to fire at any moment. The atmosphere was on the verge of exploding. In a corner not far away, Feng Xiaoxiao wiped her sweat with difficulty. "They're going to fight." Annie, who was beside her, was panicking. "What do we do? What do we do? They're not really going to fight, are they?" "Sister Xiaoxiao, I just asked around. So Advisor Feng got his men to kidnap Brother Shi as well. How could Advisor Feng do this? To be honest, I didn't expect old Feng to be so simple and violent this time. What is he trying to do?" Feng Xiaoxiao looked doubtful. Tang Ye's cold voice came from the side. "Feng Jin's biggest taboo is having someone or something beyond his control affect Satan's judgment. For a man, a woman who can make him lose control is nothing more than getting what he wants. So old Feng is going to solve the problem at the source? Holy shit. Was Satan really going to take the opportunity to imprison little junior sister? You have to realize that this haunted house is like little junior sister's sealing technique. Little junior sister is most afraid of ghosts, so she'll definitely lose all of her battle prowess once she enters this place. Furthermore, her battle prowess isn't that high to begin with." Feng Xiaoxiao's lips twitched. Annie tensed up and muttered hesitantly, "I don't think Big Boss would do such a thing. Although Big Boss looks like a bad person and has a bad mouth, he is actually very good to his people. Just like how Big Boss always said that he would throw me into the sea to feed the fishes, but he never really did it." "Ugh, your analogy. What a naive child." Feng Xiaoxiao patted Annie's head speechlessly. Afterwards, Feng Xiaoxiao looked at the two people who were about to fight and murmured, "Is that really the only reason old Feng is doing this? Why do I feel like old Feng is deliberately stirring up trouble?" Chapter 1045. Apart from that, the biggest reason for today's incident was that they finally got to see Lu Tingxiao's legendary underground force. Although this was only the tip of the iceberg, they could already foresee the colossus hidden under the iceberg. It was not inferior to their organization. "We can't let this go on. I'll go and save brother Shi. Only brother Shi can stop them now, Annie said anxiously. Feng Xiaoxiao grabbed Annie, who was about to run away. What are you going to do? What can you do even if you go? You're so weak that you can't even open a door. Just stay here. I'll go. But what if boss blames me? Annie said worriedly. You're his direct subordinates, so you can't go. Although I'm also a member of the organization, it's just a part-time job. At least I have the original sin to back me up. Don't worry. Feng Xiaoxiao said and quickly ran into the house. The original sin was the world's largest assassin organization. Feng Xiaoxiao was loyal to the organization and was also a core member of the original sin. Tang Yi didn't stop Feng Xiaoxiao when he saw that she was going to save brother Shi. He turned a blind eye to it. In the creepiest master bedroom on the second floor. When Feng Xiaoxiao unlocked the door with an iron wire and walked in, Ningxi was still fighting against the glass window in front of her. The little girl was holding a sharp animal bone in her hand and poking it at the window. At this time, a force suddenly attacked her from behind, grabbing the 2 rabbit ears on the back of her clothes and pulling her away from the window. Then, she saw a black boot kicking at her. In the next second, with a loud bang, the window shattered. Ningxi stared blankly at the window that she had been fighting for half a day without moving. Tears streamed down her face. Ouch! Third senior sister. You're finally here. Useless thing. Feng Xiaoxiao rolled her eyes at the girl speechlessly. She took out a dagger and untied the rope on Ningxi's hand. I've already reminded you last time. Why are you getting weaker and weaker now? Ningxi pouted and mumbled. That means that I'm living a carefree life, happy and sweet. The veins on Feng Xiaoxiao's forehead throbbed. How dare you stuff me with dog food? Believe it or not, I will kick you to death. Shiji, you're the one who can't bear to. Ningxi hopped over and hugged her, rubbing her chest. Feng Xiaoxiao looked at Ningxi's adorable, innocent and lively appearance. She closed her eyes and revealed a pitiful expression. No wonder Shirlu has been looking like he has nothing left to live for. He must have been disillusioned by your current appearance. Ningxi blinked. Shirlu? Who is Shirlu? Code 16. The woman who kidnapped you. Feng Xiaoxiao replied. Oh, she today maybe probably a little disillusioned, cough cough. Ningxi wiped her sweat. I think this woman used to have a crush on you. She was probably the one who fought for Feng Jin's mission. She wanted to take the opportunity to get close to Adonis, but in the end, TSK. Feng Xiaoxiao said with a really tragic expression. Ningxi muttered speechlessly. You're blaming me? Who asked her to kidnap me and leave me alone in the haunted house? I was almost scared to death. This is retribution. Chapter 1046. Alright, that's enough. Go downstairs and find your man. They're about to start fighting. This is China, and it's under the emperor's feet. It's not a foreign country. It won't do either of them any good if they fight. Feng Xiaoxiao urged. Oh, third senior sister, I'm leaving. Let's have a drink next time. Ningxi climbed onto the windowsill. Feng Xiaoxiao glanced at her worriedly. Can you do it? Why don't you take the stairs? That's so troublesome. Senior sister, can you stop looking down on my strength? It's only the 3rd floor. Ningxi said as she climbed down the pipe speechlessly. Feng Xiaoxiao. Who told you to be spoiled like a little white rabbit? How can I not worry? But damn it. As a woman, she was a little envious. After all, she had been fighting and killing for so many years, and she had experienced more terrifying things than Ningxi. Of course, she was also less trusting than Ningxi men. She would never fall in love with such creatures. On the other side, Ningxi soon realized that she would suffer if she didn't listen to her senior sister. Halfway up, Ningxi's legs were still a little weak, so she fell down with a plop and let out a cry of ouch. In an instant, all the tense gazes turned towards the foot of the wall. Then everyone saw a cute girl crawl up from the grass and spit out a mouthful of grass. Her little face was scrunched up, and she was muttering something. Where did this rabbit come from? A man muttered in the crowd on Yunshin's side. Fuck. Big news. There's a woman in boss's room. And it's a tender underage one. Oh my god. Boss is into this. The commotion in the crowd grew. and the expressions on their faces became more and more strange. Then a cold female voice rang out. That's Tangxi. Hearing Shuoyo's words, everyone was speechless. Are you fucking kidding me? After seeing Ningxi, Lu Tingxiao's expression changed instantly. All he could see was his wife. Yunshen glanced at Feng Xiaoxiao, who was standing in front of the floor-to-ceiling window upstairs like an ice blade. Then he looked at Ningxi and said coldly, "Come here." Ningxi curled her lips and patted off the dust and grass on her body. Although she didn't speak, her expression was obvious. "Why would I go to your place to die? Ah, great demon king." After getting up and seeing the familiar figure not far away, Ningxi's gaze instantly turned to Lu Tingxiao with joy. This contrast in attitude was too obvious. At this moment, the three of them formed a triangle. Lu Tingxiao and Yunshen stood opposite each other 10 steps away, while Ningxi stood between them and under the wall not far away. Just as Ningxi was about to run towards Lu Tingxiao without hesitation, an extremely gloomy voice rang in her ears. "I'll give you one last chance. Think carefully before you make a decision. Decide who to follow." The extremely gloomy voice made Ningxi freeze on the spot. She raised her head, looked at Lu Tingxiao with a cold face, and then looked at Yunshen with a gloomy face. What to do? She wasn't struggling with the question of who to choose, because she didn't need to think about it at all. What if she went to Lu Tingxiao's place and Yunshen got angry out of humiliation? Chapter 1047. This guy was a lunatic. Once he went crazy, he would do things regardless of the consequences. Even if this was the doorstep of the Emperor of Heaven, he would still dare to blow it up. Although this was a desolate suburb, it was still the territory of the capital after all. There were guns and cannons here. Once they made a noise, it would definitely alarm the people above. Even if Lu Tingxiao was the uncrowned king, the people above would turn a blind eye to him. But this was under the condition that both sides got along peacefully and mutually benefited each other. However, if he made such a big fuss under their noses and slapped their faces, how could the people above not be angry? Looking at the armed forces on Lu Tingxiao's side, which were even more terrifying than the regular army, Ningxi was shocked. She didn't expect that Lu Tingxiao would go to this extent and take such a big risk for her. Just as Ningxi was weighing and analyzing the pros and cons, there was a dead silence on the scene, and the two men's faces became more and more gloomy, especially Lu Tingxiao. Although he had the upper hand just now because of his identity as Ningxi's ex-boyfriend, Yunshen's words still hit the cage of the giant beast in his heart. As for Yunshen, he knew Ningxi too well after getting along with her for 4 years. At a glance, he knew what she was thinking and worried about at this moment, so he looked so gloomy. At this moment, a murderous aura suddenly came from not far away. In the crowd, a middle-aged man in a Chinese tunic suit suddenly appeared. A black muzzle in his hand suddenly pointed at Ningxi and instantly pressed the trigger. No one had time to notice it. The next second, bang, a gunshot rang out. Almost at the same time, another gunshot rang out. The first one was from Feng Jin, and the second one was from Yunshen. Everyone stared at the scene in shock. Even Feng Xiaoxiao, Tang Yi Annie and the rest did not expect Feng Jin to suddenly shoot. The cold air around the silver-haired man was overwhelming and confined Feng Jin. The latter was covered with cold sweat and covered his bleeding wrist. Just now he had shot at Ningxi, but because his wrist was shot by Yunshen, he missed the target. It seems that I have to deal with the family affairs first. Yunshen raised his hand with a horrified expression. Immediately, all his subordinates put away their weapons and retreated like a tide. Seeing the other side suddenly retreat, Lu Tingxiao's side also relaxed. Then they looked at Lu Tingxiao, waiting for instructions. Lu Tingxiao glanced coldly at the middle-aged man. After a while he also raised his hand. In an instant, everyone on Lu Tingxiao's side retracted their weapons and retreated. The tense atmosphere of the night finally eased up. Seeing that the crisis was over, Ningxi hurriedly ran towards Lu Tingxiao. Seeing the girl running towards him step by step, Lu Tingxiao felt as if he had been redeemed from hell. She was walking towards him. Because she fell down halfway and rolled on the ground in the bushes that hadn't been cleaned for a long time. Ningxi's clothes were already covered in dust, and the fluff on her clothes and hair were covered in weeds. She had completely changed from a little white rabbit to a little wild rabbit. However, the moment the girl threw herself into the man's arms and raised her little head with her eyes full of attachment, he knew that no matter how wild she was outside, she still belonged to someone. The moment the warm and soft body pounced on him, Lu Tingxiao instantly tightened his arms, and the empty heart that was whistling with cold wind was instantly filled. Chapter 1048. The silver-haired man's face was as cold as ice as he watched Ningxi run towards Lu Tingxiao and the two of them hugging each other. Feng Jin clutched his injured wrist as he walked towards the man. He took the opportunity to say, "Satan. Tangxi would have stayed if she knew what's good for her. However, she's ungrateful and ungrateful. She doesn't respect you at all. Why do you?" The man glanced at him coldly. "I like it when she's ungrateful and ungrateful. Do you have a problem with that?" Feng Jin. Seeing that Lu Tingxiao had already left with his men, Feng Jin gritted his teeth. His face was livid. "Satan. That woman will destroy you." "Heh, a woman can destroy me. Why don't you take over my position?" The man's face was filled with murderous intent. Feng Jin lowered his head. "I wouldn't dare." The man snorted. "I'm doing this for Uncle Qiao's sake. If there's a next time, you'll go back to where you came from." Hearing this, Feng Jin's face turned pale. He thought that Satan would make a move after witnessing the woman's betrayal. Who knew that wouldn't work? He couldn't let this woman live. "Aye, yes." The man glanced at Feng Jin's pale face from the corner of his eye. He lazily adjusted his cuffs and said, "Spread the word. If anyone dares to touch a single hair on Tangxi, I'll break all their bones." "Tangyi, yes." Feng Jin froze on the spot, not daring to say a word. The man narrowed his eyes and looked at the helicopter disappearing into the night sky. Then he opened his hand. In his hand was a small fluffy white ball that had fallen from the girl's clothes. It lay alone in his palm. Lu Tingxiao didn't board the helicopter that they had boarded. Instead, he brought Ningxi to another small helicopter. Apart from her and Lu Tingxiao, there was only the pilot on the helicopter. Almost as soon as the door closed, Ningxi was engulfed in a blanket of kisses. The man's broad palm held her waist tightly, as though he wanted to melt her into his flesh and blood. His other hand pressed against the back of the girl's head as he kissed her lips forcefully. She felt a sharp pain on her tongue. At that moment, Ningxi thought of, "Boss, if you do this, we won't die, will we?" How was the pilot supposed to focus on flying the plane? The pilot, who was flying the plane in front, expressed that he might have encountered the biggest challenge of his career. Moreover, the boss in the back seat didn't seem to have any intention of stopping. Instead, it was getting more and more intense. This isn't going to be a shock, right? Even if he was a professionally trained driver with 8 years of driving experience, he still couldn't resist such a blood-boiling live version. At the same time, Lu Tingxiao's movements became even more out of control, probably because he noticed that the girl was distracted. He didn't know how much restraint he had to use to stop himself from doing things that would hurt her. But even so, the smell of blood quickly spread in their mouths. At this moment, Lu Tingxiao's entire body was filled with dark negative factors. It was terrifying. However, Ningxi was not afraid at all. Instead, she took the initiative to wrap her arms around the man's neck and kiss him. Her fingers gently stroked his back. She even pushed against the man's chest and pressed him under her body. She lowered her head and put the bunny ear hat on her head. She didn't even have time to take it off. She leaned over and kissed the man's lips. The fear that had been suppressed in the haunted house for a long time was now all poured into this kiss. The man used one hand to steady the girl's body to prevent her from falling, and responded to the girl's kiss even more passionately. The pilot in front looked at the two people behind him who were riding on top of each other. One was dressed in a meticulous black suit. The other was dressed in a cute and soft cartoon bunny costume. This was really terrible. Chapter 1049. This kiss lasted for a long time. It went from wild and violent to passionate, to tender and affectionate. Neither of them was willing to let go in the end. It was Ningxi who asked him to stop. She pushed away the man's shoulder that was about to kiss her again. "Okay. If we continue, we'll really die." The pilot almost burst into tears. Only the lady boss knew how to take care of him. The man buried his head in her neck, obviously still shocked. Ningxi looked at Lu Tingxiao worriedly. This is the territory of the emperor. What happened tonight? Will it affect you? The man brushed his lips over her sensitive collarbone. Kiss me again and it won't. Ningxi was speechless. The pilot was speechless. She couldn't do this anymore. Also, please return my noble and aloof boss to me. They took a bus halfway and arrived at the city in the wee hours of the morning. The sky was still dark. Lu Tingxiao was worried that the apartment might not be safe, so he took her to the palace. Seeing that her ankle was injured, Lu Tingxiao picked her up and carried her upstairs. Seeing that Lu Tingxiao was about to leave, Ningxi grabbed his hand. Where are you going? I'm going to get the first aid kit. Your leg needs to be treated. Oh, hurry up. Moments later, Lu Tingxiao came back with the first aid kit. When Ningxi fell down just now, there were a lot of abrasions on the exposed parts of her body. Lu Tingxiao first cleaned the wounds with alcohol and then applied medicine. Fortunately, these were just ordinary abrasions and could be treated with a little simple treatment. Looking at the red and swollen marks on her wrist, Lu Tingxiao applied some ointment for her. Are there any other injuries? Lu Tingxiao asked. Yes. Ningxi nodded. Lu Tingxiao frowned and his face darkened. Where? Ningxi pointed at her lips. Here. You bit me. Lu Tingxiao was stunned and coughed. Let me apply some ointment for you. The cool light green ointment was applied on her lips and she felt much better. Seeing that Lu Tingxiao was about to leave after applying the ointment, Ningxi immediately grabbed his shirt. Where are you going? I'm going to get you a towel. Oh, then come back quickly. Forget it, I'll go with you. Ningxi thought for a while and followed him to the bathroom. Lu Tingxiao fetched some hot water and helped her wash her dirty little face and hands. The wounds on your body can't come in contact with water. That's all for now. Yes, yes. After a simple wipe, the two returned to the bedroom. Are you sure there are no other wounds? Lu Tingxiao asked worriedly. I really didn't. Ningxi rolled up her sleeves and pants to show him. They didn't make things difficult for me. It was an inhumane mental attack on me. Lu Tingxiao relaxed a little. Then you should change into a clean set of clothes first. You'll feel more comfortable. Lu Tingxiao said, and was about to go out to help her change her clothes. However, as soon as he turned around, Ningxi came up to him and stopped him. Where are you going? Lu Tingxiao looked at the girl suspiciously. I told you to change your clothes. Why are you going out when I'm changing? Just stay here. Ningxi was anxious. What's wrong with you? Lu Tingxiao frowned. Ningxi pursed her lips and sniffled. She moved over pitifully and hugged the man's waist tightly. I'm scared, don't go. Chapter 1050. Seeing the girl like this, Lu Tingxiao's heart ached so much that he wanted to kill someone. The air around him suddenly became cold. What did they do to you? Ningxi couldn't bear it anymore. She sobbed and complained with trembling shoulders. Bastards. They're not human. They asked me to meet anywhere, but at the haunted house. You even left me waiting there alone. That house is the rumored place where the female ghost hanged herself. It's so scary. I tried my best to leave, but my whole body was weak. I had no strength at all. They must have wanted to scare me to death. It's so sinister. Lu Tingxiao. He was almost scared to death by her too. So don't go, okay? I don't dare to stay alone. What if the female ghost comes back with me? Ningxi raised her little head pitifully and begged. Lu Tingxiao pinched his eyebrows, as if relieved of a heavy burden. At the same time, he showed a helpless expression. I won't go. Oh, are you sure? Ningxi ran to open the wardrobe to find clothes to change into, and turned her head to ask worriedly. I'm sure. Ningxi confirmed it several times before she changed her clothes with relief. When she was changing her clothes, she sadly found that her favorite rabbit pajamas, the cutest round and furry rabbit tail on the butt, was not small. Ningxi mourned for her tail for a while, and then saw Lu Tingxiao standing there like a gentleman with his back turned to him, waiting for her. I'm done. Okay. Lu Tingxiao turned around and touched the girl's head. Have a good rest. Will you stay with me? How can I not stay with you? Lu Tingxiao looked at the girl and sighed. Ningxi was finally relieved. On the warm and soft bed, the girl snuggled up in the man's arms. Probably because she was really scared tonight, she fell asleep after a while. However, the girl didn't seem to sleep well. She frowned in her sleep and her forehead was covered with cold sweat. Lu Tingxiao stayed by her side and comforted her softly. At about 6 o'clock in the morning, a series of heavy footsteps came from outside the door. Lu Tingxiao looked up and saw that it was his son. Then he raised his hand and gestured for Ningxi to keep quiet. Ningxi didn't fall asleep until 4 o'clock in the morning. Perhaps it was because little Baozi saw the unusual serious expression on his father's face, but he didn't fight for his father's favor. Instead, he laid on the edge of the bed and quietly looked at his mother. Your mother slept late last night. Don't wake her up. Lu Tingxiao lowered his voice. Little Baozi nodded obediently. He laid there and looked at his mama for a while before reluctantly leaving. He still had to go to school today, so he couldn't be late. Not long after, Little Bun returned with a writing board in his hand. On it were 2 words, share the burden. Lu Tingxiao was stunned. This child, she must have noticed that he seemed to have something on his mind, so she wanted to share his burden. The corner of Lu Tingxiao's mouth curled up slightly. When you're a little older. Xiaobao puffed up his cheeks. He had been working very hard to grow up. Recently, he had gained another 1 kilogram. Before going to school, Xiaobao ran over and gently gave Mama a goodbye kiss before leaving. Soon after Little Bun left, Lu Tingxiao quietly looked at the girl in his arms and didn't sleep. However, after a while he suddenly felt that something was wrong. The girl's body temperature seemed to be getting higher and higher. Chapter 1051. Because he had been hugging her, he didn't notice it immediately. He took a closer look and saw that the girl's cheeks were rosy. It wasn't a normal blush when she was sleeping. He touched her forehead, and it was indeed burning hot. Ningxi had a fever. Lu Tingxiao immediately got up and dialed Qin Mufeng's number. More than an hour later, Qin Mufeng rushed over, dragging a suitcase behind him. Sir, are you a clairvoyant? I just came back from abroad and you called me without missing a second. Qin Mufeng had gone overseas to participate in an academic exchange. When Lu Tingxiao called him, he had just gotten off the plane. The moment he turned on his phone, he received a series of urgent calls. However, he was quite happy to be called this time. Ever since he had Ningxi, the 2 of them had been fine. He felt a little guilty about getting paid for doing nothing. What's going on? Why are you rushing me so urgently? Qin Mufeng asked. Lu Tingxiao replied, fever. Qin Mufeng held his forehead. Mr. CEO, fever is a common illness. How many times do I have to explain it to you? I thought your wife was pregnant since you were so anxious. As soon as Qin Mufeng finished speaking, he realized that he was overthinking things. With Lu Tingxiao's personality, the 2 of them probably hadn't even had sex before. Speaking of which, he was so nervous when his wife was having a fever. How nervous would he be when she was going to give birth? Qin Mufeng thought to himself as he took out the equipment from the suitcase. He did a simple check on Ningxi and took her temperature. How is she? Lu Tingxiao asked. Qin Mufeng looked at the thermometer and frowned. Why is her fever so high? I'll prescribe some medicine for her. Help her lower her body temperature. If her fever doesn't go down by tonight, she'll need a drip and an injection. Okay. Don't leave. Stay here tonight, Lu Tingxiao said expressionlessly. Qin Mufeng's lips twitched. Yes, President Lu. On the bed, the girl's face was flushed and her breathing quickened. Lu Tingxiao hurriedly helped the girl up and fed her the medicine. Then he quickly found some alcohol to wipe her body and lower her body temperature. After a busy day, the girl's temperature finally stabilized a little in the evening. However, she was still unconscious. The next morning, the sun was shining brightly that day. Through the window, the room was bathed in a warm glow. The crisp chirping of birds could be heard. A few petals were blown into the room from the small garden. The air was filled with the fragrance of flowers and plants. On the bed, the girl's eyebrows were tightly knitted together, and her eyelashes kept trembling. Then, she suddenly opened her eyes, and her forehead was covered with a fine layer of sweat. as if she had just woken up from a nightmare. After opening her eyes, Ningxi's face was a little sluggish. She looked around in confusion. It was a familiar and warm bedroom. There was a bouquet of flowers in the vase at the head of the bed. Outside the window, the curtains were gently swaying in the wind. By the window, under the morning sun, the man was sitting on a chair, holding a book in his hand, but he did not flip through it. Instead, he looked out of the window. Ningxi's pupils finally focused, so she was not in hell, so she was still in the human world. Sensing movement on the bed, Lu Tingxiao immediately got up and walked over. He touched the girl's forehead and said, "You're awake. How long did I sleep?" Ningxi mumbled in a daze. 2 days. So long. Ningxi held her forehead, then looked at the green stubble on the man's chin with some heartache. "Didn't you sleep all this time?" This time, the one who was the most shocked wasn't her, but Lu Tingxiao. She didn't know how Lu Tingxiao found out so quickly that she had been taken away. Could it be that there was a spy? Or, Feng Jin had deliberately leaked the news? Chapter 1052. I'm fine. I can sleep. How do you feel? Do you feel uncomfortable anywhere? Lu Tingxiao asked. Ningxi shook her head, and then looked up at the man in front of her. Lu Tingxiao, is there something on your mind? In fact, since she came back, she had felt that Lu Tingxiao seemed to have something on his mind. Just now he seemed to be in a bad state, although he hid it well. Lu Tingxiao was taken aback at first, but then he fell silent. After coming back, although he tried his best to ignore it, the silver-haired man's words kept ringing in his mind. When she was at her lowest, most embarrassed, most desperate and most painful time, I took her in and taught her all the survival skills and means to protect herself. She and I are people from the same world. The world is so big, but in the end, she will still understand where she really belongs, the place that really belongs to her. Although he tried to restrain and convince himself, he still couldn't deceive himself. He was jealous. Jealous of that man. Jealous of him. Jealous of their past. Jealous of the special bond between them. Lu Tingxiao's face became more and more terrible. Although he was in the sun, his whole body seemed to be frozen at a speed visible to the naked eye, layer by layer. Ningxi, will you leave me? Lu Tingxiao fixed his eyes on the girl in front of him and finally spoke. There was a determination in his eyes, as if he would lose her in the next second. However, what responded to him was the girl's warm and soft body that suddenly fell into his arms. Her warmth enveloped him and melted all the ice and snow around him. Ningxi had thought that he had a deep grudge against that person, and that the sky had fallen. When she heard this, she was speechless. But seeing him like this, she felt sorry for him, so she hugged him tightly and said discontentedly and helplessly, "Why would I leave you? Why do you think I work so hard every day? Isn't it to be with you? Isn't it to make more money? Isn't it to marry you in the future? Isn't it just to stay in your world?" Being with Lu Tingxiao was probably the biggest accident in her life, and also the biggest gamble. From the very beginning, she knew that she shouldn't. But even though she knew that she shouldn't, she still fell for him. Even though she knew that she should distance herself from him, she still approached him step by step. The next second, Ningxi lifted her weak arms, flipped over and pressed herself on the man's body. She said fiercely, "Lu Tingxiao, why are you asking this? I'm warning you. It was you who seduced me. It was you who seduced me. It was you who bewitched me. So, if one day you dare to betray me..." Ningxi fiercely threatened him, but in her heart she smiled bitterly. Even if that day came, she probably wouldn't bear to hurt him at all. Unknowingly, before she realized it, she had already been completely eaten by him. The man gazed at her intently, his pupils reflecting the entire world. "I won't betray my own life." The girl's expression changed. Her eyes were also filled with determination. "I won't either. Lu Tingxiao, I have 2 lives. One is when I was born, and the other is when I met you." Lu Tingxiao suddenly tightened his arms around the girl. The dense dark clouds above their heads disappeared, and the sky was clear and boundless. Chapter 1053. The two of them snuggled up to each other in the warm spring sunshine. "Although the security measures at your place are good, They can only keep out ordinary thieves and reporters. Lu Tingxiao said thoughtfully. Hearing this, Ningxi immediately said excitedly, "Oh, I'm planning to move to a new house. I calculated my current savings. It's enough to buy a nice villa. I was about to discuss this with you. Let's go look at a house together?" "Okay." Lu Tingxiao nodded. "I'll keep an eye out for a suitable one. As for the security system, I'll do it myself." "Okay." Ningxi nodded. Lu Tingxiao thought for a while and still didn't feel reassured. "I'll transfer Tanglang to your side. You need a bodyguard too." Ningxi was speechless. "Second senior will be my bodyguard?" From a security guard to a private bodyguard. Wasn't it getting worse and worse? Although the former was just a security guard, it was still a listed company. Lu Tingxiao said he needs money. Ningxi. Okay, she almost forgot that second senior's card was confiscated by eldest senior. He was so short of money that he had to work as a security guard and a teacher. Anyway, he only needed money. "Oh, one more thing. I think I'll need to transfer 2 people from your side." Ningxi suddenly remembered the weapons and local products at home. "Who?" Lu Tingxiao asked. "Shi Xiao and Xiongji. Are they okay?" Ningxi asked. "They went to look for you." Lu Tingxiao looked as if he had expected it. Ningxi coughed lightly. "Well, I'll be lenient if I get help from others." Lu Tingxiao pondered for a moment. Although he did not intend to use these 2 people again, their strength was indeed not bad. After the last incident, they were considered familiar with Ningxi. If he looked for other people, they might not necessarily be as diligent as them. Okay. Most importantly, how could he not agree to his wife's request? "Are you hungry?" Lu Tingxiao asked. Ningxi touched her deflated belly and nodded. "Yes. I'll go to the kitchen to see if dinner is ready." Yes. Illness came like a landslide, but it was like spinning silk. After sleeping for 2 days, Ningxi's body was still a little weak. She was about to go back to sleep on the pillow when the phone at the bedside suddenly rang. When she went downstairs to buy soy sauce the day before yesterday, she didn't have her phone with her. Lu Tingxiao might have brought it for her. The caller ID showed that it was Lin Jiji. Seeing Lin Jiji's name on the screen, Ningxi's face suddenly changed. It's over. Too many things had happened in the past 2 days, and her illness had made her muddle-headed. She had actually forgotten that today was the day she was supposed to film the variety show. The production crew set off for Shuha Ancient Town at 8 p.m., and it was already 7 p.m. now. By now, Ningxi was completely awake and quickly answered the call. "Hello, Sister Jiji. I'm really sorry. I wasn't feeling well, so I slept for 2 days. I just woke up, so I rushed over immediately. I was just about to inform you that the filming of the show has been delayed," Lin Jiji said. "Ah, it's delayed?" Ningxi was surprised. "What's wrong with your body? Sick? Is it serious?" Lin Jiji asked with concern. Ningxi had always been professional. If it wasn't a very serious situation, she definitely wouldn't have forgotten that she had to film the show today. "It's fine. I just have a slight fever, but I'm much better now. Are you alone at home now? I'll get Xiaotao to go over and take care of you?" Lin Jiji asked. Chapter 1054. "Ah, no need for that. I'm at my friend's house. He'll take care of me," Ningxi said hurriedly. "Well, if anything happens, you must tell me immediately. If it's serious, you must go to the hospital," Lin Jiji urged. Okay. Then have a good rest. I don't know when Baby Meng will start recording. When you recover, I'll temporarily help you change to a gourmet program called Beauty's Private Kitchen. It'll be filmed locally in the capital. It'll only take an afternoon. It's very relaxing." "Okay, thank you, Sister Jiji." After hanging up the phone, Ningxi's tense nerves suddenly relaxed. She lay back on the bed and comfortably rubbed against the soft and fluffy pillow. Although it shouldn't be, suddenly hearing the news that she didn't have to work when she was sick and wanted to stay in bed was actually quite cool. At this time, the door was pushed open with a creak. It was Little Bao who came in. Seeing Little Bao, Ningxi's eyes suddenly lit up. "Ah, Bao." Before she finished speaking, Little Bao actually slammed the door. and then came the sound of footsteps going downstairs. Ningxi scratched her head in confusion. What's going on, my Bao? Not long after, there was another sound of footsteps going up the stairs. The little fellow pushed the door open again and came in, carefully holding a bowl of porridge in his hand. He walked to her bed, carefully scooped a spoonful of porridge, blew on it, and then brought it to Mama's mouth. It turned out that he went downstairs to bring breakfast for himself. Ningxi was so touched that she almost wanted to hug him and rub him, but she resisted, afraid that she would pass the illness to him, so she said softly, "Baby, you're so considerate. But Mama is sick now, and I'm afraid I'll infect you. Let your father feed me, okay?" Little Bao steadily held the spoon, his eyes firm. Baby is not afraid of illness. Baby has to take care of Mama. At this time, Lu Tingxiao pushed the door open and came in with some appetizers. He said, "Boys aren't so fragile, let him feed you." Ningxi was also afraid that little Bao's hands would get sore, so she hurriedly ate the porridge. "Oh, my Bao is really delicious." Little Bun stood by the bed feeding Ningxi porridge. Lu Tingxiao sat by the bed, holding an apple in his hand and slowly peeling it. When Lu Jingli and Jiang Mai came in, they saw a warm and beautiful family of 3. "Sister-in-law, are you feeling better? I thought it would be too tacky to give you flowers, so I picked some vegetables from my yard for you." Lu Jingli was really carrying a basket of vegetables in his hand. Jiang Mai, who was holding a bunch of tacky flowers, was speechless. Jiang Mai glanced at Lu Jingli speechlessly. Then he put a bunch of fresh flowers on the table. Looking at Ningxi's pale face, he murmured, "I didn't expect that you would get sick." Ningxi was speechless. Humans get sick. Am I not a human? Jiang Mai replied, "Sometimes I'm not." "Sister-in-law, what's going on? You're as strong as an ox. How did you suddenly become so ill?" Lu Jingli asked suspiciously. As strong as an ox, Lu Jingli. He had just come in for a while, and he had already offended 2 people. Ningxi glared at him. "Can't I just be a little frightened?" "Damn. Sister-in-law, you're kidding me. What kind of frightened you so much that you got sick?" Lu Jingli obviously didn't believe her. Ningxi ignored him. She would rather maintain her image as strong as an ox than reveal that she was afraid of ghosts. Also, she decided, she would go to the next hard drive and watch a horror movie until she was no longer afraid. Chapter 1055. Just as the room was filled with laughter, there was a weak knock on the door. Standing at the door was Lu Xinyan. Ningxi was a little surprised to see her. Noticing Ningxi's gaze, Lu Xinyan seemed to be a little uncomfortable. She coughed lightly and said with a righteous expression, "I'm here to see Xiaobao. I heard that you're sick, so I came to see you. These tonics are also gifts. You can take them." Lu Jingli and Jiang Mai were still surprised to see Lu Xinyan come to see Ningxi, although she said it was just a convenience. They didn't know what had happened on the mountain. They only knew that Lu Xinyan didn't like Ningxi, especially Lu Jingli, who had been caught by Lu Xinyan and talked about many times. Every time, she told him how Ningxi had bewitched his brother, and that Guan Ziao was the best match for his brother. Obviously, he was Guan Ziao's diehard fan and swore to destroy Ningxi's cult. But now, she took the initiative to see Ningxi and even brought her tonics? It was as if the sun had risen from the west. Could it be that little Cici had shamelessly flirted with a girl again? "Thank you." Ningxi looked at the things that Lu Xinyan had brought. It was obvious that she had specially chosen them to see her, but she didn't expose it. She just thanked her. "Xiaobao, come here, Auntie brought you a toy." In order to cover up her embarrassment, Lu Xinyan hurried to find Xiaobao. Ningxi found that Lu Xinyan didn't look very well, so she asked casually, "Why are your dark circles so heavy?" Lu Xinyan immediately touched her eyes subconsciously and muttered with some complaint, "It's all your fault." This conversation. Lu Jingli inexplicably felt that his thoughts were going astray. "Huh?" Ningxi was puzzled. "You won't let me pass the agency qualification, so I have to make a new plan." Lu Xinyan took out a small mirror and looked at her face with distress. Ningxi was obviously a little surprised to hear that. She didn't expect that Lu Xinyan still hadn't given up. Although she couldn't bear to hurt her, she didn't want her to continue to do useless work. So Ningxi said, "But the quota for our 5 agencies in the capital is full. There were originally 2 more, but they have already signed contracts with others. What? Gone? Both of them are gone? Lu Xinyan was dumbfounded. Yes, they're all gone. Ningxi confirmed the bad news. As soon as he finished speaking, Lu Xinyan's little face froze. A moment later, she exclaimed in disbelief. How could this be? I stayed up for a whole week and sacrificed a whole week of beauty sleep to redo the project. I've never worked so hard in my life. In the end, you're telling me that all my efforts were in vain? Ningxi pinched her brows and looked at the girl in front of her helplessly. Don't you know the situation before you do anything? I didn't know it would be signed so soon. Lu Xinyan's tone was obviously a little guilty. Ningxi. She finally understood why this girl always suffered losses when she did business. Lu Xinyan stared at Ningxi and said anxiously, I don't care. You were the one who said that as long as I could show a serious attitude and sufficient sincerity, the door of Ziling would always be open for me. You can't go back on your word. Besides, I've already called you my sister-in-law. Can't you even make an exception for such a small matter? Chapter 1056. Sister-in-law. Lu Jingli, Jiang Mai. The 2 people who didn't know were shocked again, especially Lu Jingli. This girl actually called Ningxi sister-in-law? When did this happen? How much gossip had he missed? It was so sad. Hearing Lu Xinyan's words, Ningxi blinked and said, Oh, then you'd better take back the word sister-in-law. How can you do this? Lu Xinyan stamped her feet in anger. Ningxi spread out her hands and said, The problem is that it's useless to call me sister-in-law this time. My side has already signed the contract, the goods have all been delivered, and the storefront is being renovated. There's a first come, first served rule. Even if your plan this time is really good, I can't open the back door. Lu Xinyan lowered her head and stood there like a frosted eggplant. Is there really no other way? Ningxi looked at Lu Tingxiao subconsciously. Boss, do you have any idea? Lu Xinyan hurriedly looked at Lu Tingxiao. But her cousin still blamed her for what had happened last time. How could he help her, since it was his wife who asked? Lu Tingxiao told her everything he knew. A new large comprehensive shopping mall is about to open in the west of the city. We can set up a physical store there. That short sentence instantly solved all the problems. Boss was indeed a great man. Lu Xinyan's eyes lit up. Really? Then I'll contact the people about the store. This time, no one is allowed to compete with me. I was the first one to find it. Ningxi chuckled. Yes, you found it. I'll keep it for you. That's what you said. You have to keep your word. I'm going to settle the store first. Lu Xinyan said, stuffed the bags of toys into Xiaobao's arms, and then ran away like a gust of wind. Behind her, Lu Jingli clicked his tongue. Cici, how on earth did you train her? Xianyan, that lass has been slacking off all day long. She has a short-lived passion for everything. I've never seen her so concerned about anything before. She's like a different person. Ningxi rolled her eyes at him and said slowly, Every girl has her cute side. It just depends on whether she's willing to show it to you. That makes sense. Lu Jingli looked like he had learned something. Oh, by the way, Jiang Mai, sister Gigi arranged a gourmet program for me. It's called Beauty's Private Kitchen. I didn't pay much attention to it before. Have you heard of it? Ningxi asked. Lin Gigi probably knew that she was good at cooking, so she chose this show for her. In addition, her image was also suitable for the show. Ningxi's motto was not to let go of any opportunity, so no matter what job she did, she had to do her best. A culinary show. Before Jiang Mai could say anything, Lu Jingli's eyes lit up like a light bulb. He blurted out, What about your props? What prop? Ningxi was confused. It's the dishes you cooked. Lu Jingli hurriedly explained. Ningxi was speechless. How would I know how to deal with it? I've watched other food shows. If the food is bad, they'll throw it away. If it's okay, they'll probably share it with the staff. As for my program, I don't know the process yet, so I asked Jiang Mai. Chapter 1057. Lu Jingli said righteously. What do you mean by staff? Do the staff need food from you? Bring it back for me to eat. Besides, this show only has one guest per episode, and it's a permanent guest. How about I help you become a permanent guest? I'll let you go on every episode. As long as you bring the props back for me. It's a good deal, isn't it? Ningxi. Jiang Mai glanced at Lu Jingli and then interrupted. Don't even think about it. The show requires the male guests to eat up the dishes cooked by the female guests. Lu Jingli squatted in the corner and began to plant mushrooms. How could there be such an inhumane gourmet show? It's really inhumane. Jiang Mai seemed to recall something, and his face turned green. This show only has one guest per episode, and they are all good-looking beauties. They rely on their looks to pull up the ratings. As for the dishes, haha, they are all worse than the other. Don't ask me how I know that. How do you know that? Ningxi and Lu Jingli asked in unison. Jiang Mai's mouth twitched slightly. He pinched his forehead and said, in addition to the beautiful female guests, the show also invites a male guest to be her assistant. I was there once. And then? Ningxi asked with interest. Jiang Mai showed a painful expression, as if he didn't want to recall the past. Didn't I just say that the show requires the male guests to eat up the dishes cooked by the female guests? It means that even if the dishes are shit, they have to eat it. At that time, I thought the female guest was pretty and her cooking was just like her, so I agreed to go on the show. But in the end, he was forced to finish the entire plate of that woman's red braised pork, which was almost burnt into charcoal. Moreover, he had to falsely praise her for her cooking for the sake of the program. Since then, I haven't eaten braised pork for a whole year. Do you know how traumatized I am? Ningxi rolled her eyes. You deserve it. Obviously, he wanted to hook up with the beautiful women, but he got what he deserved. After that, I talked to a few other male guests who have been on this show and found a pattern. The prettier the girl is, the darker the cuisine. Nowadays, almost no male guests dare to go on this show. Speaking of this, Jiang Mai glanced at Ningxi and coughed slightly. If you are going to be on this show, I can spare some time from my busy schedule to be a male guest and support you. Lu Jingli was furious. Fuck. Jiang Mai, you treacherous villain. Favoritism. As your boss, I will not allow it. I've decided to do it myself. Lu Tingxiao. The biggest boss expressed that they all thought he was dead. Ningxi's body was in good condition. After resting at home for a few days, she felt much better. Therefore, taking advantage of the good weather on the weekend, Ningxi directly took Big Bun and Little Bun to look at houses. However, there was also a third wheel, Tang Lang, who was called a security consultant. In the courtyard, Tang Lang was picking and choosing. What kind of rubbish is this? In this day and age, there are still people who use barbed wire to invade the system. One pull and the entire defense system will collapse. Ningxi glanced at him. Then what do you want? Of course I want to use infrared. Shoot directly when they touch it. Kill them on the spot. Ningxi's mouth twitched as she held her forehead. This is China. China is okay. Kill your head. Chapter 1058. Lu Tingxiao pondered for a moment, then muttered, infrared can be used, but it can be improved. You can refer to the security system of the Louvre. That's awesome. Then the two men began to discuss something she didn't understand. In the end, even the little bun joined the discussion. Use the robot guard you assembled? That's possible. My good disciple is really talented. As expected of my disciple. Tang Lang immediately had an expression of pride. In the evening, the villa was finally chosen. It was a villa located in the suburbs but not too far from the city. The villa was very approachable and featured a retro Chinese style with soft colors. The surrounding scenery was also not bad. It was equipped with a small garden, swimming pool and a greenhouse. There was a private butler who could meet all the needs of the residents. The most noteworthy thing was that there was a large peach forest on the mountain not far away. Lu Tingxiao had already planned the security system. After looking at it, Ningxi quickly signed the purchase contract on the spot and wrote her and Lu Tingxiao's names on the property ownership certificate. Ningxi happily put the property ownership certificate into Lu Tingxiao's hand like presenting a treasure. Honey, this is the house that I will marry you in the future. Lu Tingxiao's cold face was instantly dyed with a lively smile. And the little bun's eyes lit up. Mama was going to marry Papa. Then wouldn't he be Mama's legitimate son? Tang Lang. Haha, he might be blind. He had been blinded by these two for an entire day. Even if he wasn't blind, he was half disabled. At the thought of having to suffer like this every day in the future, he wanted to smash his head against the ground. It was really not easy to earn some money. Damn Tang Yi. Return my little Kaka to me. At night, the family of three and Tang Lang had dinner together. Tang Lang didn't know if that girl had found her conscience. After dinner, she actually sent him to the door. Second senior brother, I have something to ask you for help with. Ningxi stood in front of him with a serious expression. Ask me for help? Tang Yi raised his eyebrows. Ningxi nodded. It's like this. Second senior brother, do you mind having one more student? Tang Lang was puzzled. One more student? Who? Me. Ningxi pointed at herself. Did you take the wrong medicine? Tang Lang immediately looked at her as if he had seen a ghost. This girl was usually most afraid of practicing martial arts, but now she actually took the initiative to ask to train with her? Ningxi. I'll double the tuition fee. Tang Lang asked. Sir, when do we start? Ningxi chuckled. I'll let you know then. What exactly provoked you? Tang Lang looked at her suspiciously. Ningxi looked serious. A few days ago, Fengjin asked someone to invite me over. Hearing this, Tang Lang's expression changed slightly. It's faster than I thought. And then? What does he want to do? Seeing that Ningxi was fine, Lu Tingxiao must have arrived in time. Ningxi sneered. Oh, maybe he wants to kill me. Anyway, no matter what he wants to do, I've thought it through. I can't let Lu Tingxiao protect me all the time. I don't want him to worry about me. Most importantly, I can't become his weakness. Tang Lang. They were talking nicely, but they were stuffed with dog food again. Couldn't they have a pleasant chat? He'd better find Tang Yi for a duel and get his bank card back. Chapter 1059. A few days later. After finishing the house and making sure that her body was fine, Ningxi called Lin Jiji and decided to go to the TV station to record the program tomorrow afternoon. After learning that she was going to record this episode, Jiang Mai was going to be the male guest, but Lu Jingli used his privilege as the boss to stop him. If I can't eat it, you can't eat it either. In the end, the male guest of this episode was still the one that the program team had originally planned. He was a third-rate male star who was not very famous, looked a little lucky, chubby, and often played some funny supporting roles. When the program Beauty's Private Kitchen first aired, it was very popular. Although most of the dishes cooked by female stars were terrible, it was still a hot topic. The process of the male guests eating those dark dishes became the biggest joke, and the audience quite liked this kind of program design. However, Beauty's Private Kitchen was, after all, a gourmet program. In order to increase the ratings, the audience gradually got tired of the joke that the more beautiful the female star was, the darker the dishes she cooked. Many extreme audience members even directly criticized the program team for being trash and vulgar, questioning that it was not a gourmet program, but a survival challenge program and a parody program. It was too inhumane to force the male guests to eat those disgusting food in order to increase the ratings. In particular, the fans of the male guests raised the most protests. Among them, the fiercest was undoubtedly Jiang Mai's episode. Jiang Mai's fans almost blew up the Tiebao of the program team, and the official Weibo was also full of curses. As more and more such voices rose, in the end, even the male guests were almost unable to be invited. Later, the program team was forced to make adjustments and invited some female stars who could cook. But the tragedy was that in most cases, it was impossible to have both beauty and cooking skills. There were too few female stars who could cook and were good-looking. Even if there were people who knew how to cook, their standards would definitely not be good. At most, they would be average. For a variety show, if the culinary skills were not good enough, it would be better to have terrible culinary skills. However, if the beauty was sacrificed for delicious food, and the biggest attraction of the program was the beauty, the ratings would be even worse. In the end, there was no other way. The program team came up with a more wicked idea. to find a substitute for the beautiful guest. It meant that they would spend money to hire a chef to cook for them. While they were cooking, they would only take pictures of the chef's hands. At other times, they would take pictures of the beautiful guest, creating the illusion that the beautiful guest was the one cooking. Originally, if this idea had not been discovered, it would have been the best of both worlds. Unfortunately, in the end, it was discovered by the sharp-eyed audience. The ring on the female guest's hand would disappear from time to time. It was simply an insult to the audience's intelligence. At that time, the audience criticized the production team for cheating, and the female guest at that time was also scolded badly. Later on, the production team could only return to the route of relying on looks and pranks to support the viewership ratings. Although they could no longer fool the old audience, they could still fool the new audience. The viewership ratings of a culinary show couldn't be compared to other variety shows, but this show was still the most popular among similar shows. The next afternoon, Ningxi arrived at the recording studio of the TV station on time with her assistant, Xiao Tao. Today, Ningxi was wearing Ziling's latest spring-style dress with floral patterns. In order to make cooking easier, her originally loose hair was tied up in a high ponytail. She was full of the spring sunshine and youthful vivacity. Chapter 1060. The director was a kind middle-aged man. His eyes lit up when he saw Ningxi. "Oh, here comes our beauty Ningxi. Quick, everyone, let's get to know each other. This is our female guest for today." "Hello, everyone. I'm Ningxi. Nice to meet you." Ningxi greeted them politely and modestly. "You're welcome. Beauty Ningxi deserves her reputation. She's even more beautiful in real life than on TV. I thought ancient clothes were beautiful enough. I didn't expect modern clothes to be even more beautiful. It seems that the ratings of this episode are guaranteed." The staff came to greet them. The entertainment industry was a world where appearance was the most important factor. They had to be more enthusiastic in front of beautiful women, not to mention Ningxi, who was so beautiful that she was on the rise. The only one who wasn't in a good mood was the male guest today. Feng Rui was stunned by Ningxi's beauty at first sight, but then he was frightened. Based on past experience, with such a face, how bad would the dishes he made be? Seeing Feng Rui's expression, a staff member knew what he was thinking and teased him with a smile. "Brother Rui, be content. Such a beautiful woman is cooking for you. You can eat 3 bowls of rice just by looking at her. Then can I only eat plain rice later?" Feng Rui decided to make a last-ditch struggle. "No." After greeting the staff member, Ningxi walked up to Feng Rui. "Hello, you must be Senior Feng. Nice to meet you later." Looking at the girl's charming little face, especially her polite tone toward him, Feng Rui's heavy heart instantly felt a lot better. And he was even a little overwhelmed by the favor. "Sigh, Miss Ning, you're exaggerating. How can I be considered as a senior? I'm not a mentor, but I won't hold you back." A lukewarm male artist like Feng Rui, who had always acted as a clown, was the most hated and ostracized by female stars in the entertainment industry. Ningxi was such a beauty, and Shengshi Entertainment wanted to promote her in a high-profile way. But she was so polite to him, which really surprised him. If other female celebrities saw that their partner was a male guest like him, they would probably have given him a cold shoulder already. Feng Rui had been prepared to be humiliated, but he didn't expect that Ningxi would be so nice to him. Even if she pretended to be nice, it was rare. After all, there were too many people in the entertainment industry who stepped on the high and flattered the low. In fact, before Ningxi came, the director was also worried. He had invited Feng Rui because he couldn't invite other male guests this time. He had been worried that Ningxi would argue with him, so he had made several preparations to persuade her in advance, but he didn't use them. The directors naturally liked artists like Ningxi who didn't have to do much and was cooperative, so they immediately had a better impression of Ningxi. They thought that if she really couldn't do well later, they could let her do it a few more times. Beauty's Private Kitchen had been on air for more than 2 years, and all the program's procedures and props were very mature. Therefore, everyone made some preparations step by step. After the live audience entered the venue, the filming began very quickly. After the host, Ningxi Feng 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 and Feng Feng Xi and Feng Feng Chapter 1061. Hello everyone. Welcome to our beauty's private restaurant again. Today, our female guest is truly a beauty. She is the beautiful Mengchanga in the world, and the innocent and beautiful in our 18 years old. She is our Ningxi. Hello host, audience and friends in front of the TV. I'm Ningxi. Today, I'm going to show you my signature dish, braised pork. Braised pork. Is it because beauties think alike? Many beauties in our show have cooked this dish. As the host said this, the big screen behind them suddenly lit up. The screen began to replay the process of the previous female guests cooking braised pork. Sure enough, each dish was darker than the other. In Jiang Mai's episode, the scene of Jiang Mai eating meat was specially edited for a long time. The audience burst into laughter. Seeing Jiang Mai's expression as if he was eating shit, Ningxi couldn't help but chuckle. The seniors are all very cute. The host livened up the atmosphere for a while, and then said, I wonder what kind of delicacy Ningxi will bring to us today? Well, without further ado, let's invite our great beauty Ningxi to begin. Another beauty. And it was the same uncreative braised pork. The audience at the scene of the show was actually gathered by the director from all over the place. Some of them were even paid extras, so many of them had already been here several times. When they saw such a similar plot, they felt that it was a little boring, and even their performances seemed weak. Fortunately, Ningxi was indeed good-looking. The audience, especially the male audience, cheered up and continued to watch. By the way, Sister Mimi, can I use my own tools? Ningxi looked at the host and asked. Since she was going to do it, she had to do it to the best. So this time, Ningxi specially brought a set of tools that she usually used. The host smiled and said, Of course. In fact, the host was a little worried about Ningxi. Previously, some female guests had made similar requests, but the dishes they cooked were still a mess. Some tried to show off their knife skills, but their hands were cut and cried on the spot. In the end, they were scolded by the audience for being nosy and pretentious. After Xiaodao helped Ningxi bring her own tools, Ningxi began to cook. First, he nimbly put on the apron, then checked all the utensils, and began to choose the spices and ingredients. Is there anything I can help you with? Feng Rui asked. Ningxi smiled. Senior, can you help me wash the radish? The girl's smile was friendly and warm, and Feng Rui's face could not help but heat up. He hurriedly said, Oh okay. Ningxi, what's a carrot for? Do we need carrots in the red braised meat? Asked the host. I'm afraid that Senior will get tired of eating only the red braised meat later. Slicing the white radish and soaking it in salt water will be more refreshing. Ningxi explained. I see. The host thought to himself. That's not the point, as long as the poison doesn't kill our male guests, we'll be thankful. Wash. It's done. Feng Rui took the radish that was washed. Thank you. Ningxi took the radish, chose a rectangular knife, and began to slice it. Chapter 1062. Beep beep, beep beep. The sound of the kitchen knife cutting on the chopping board was endless. In less than 5 seconds, a radish was cut. The onlookers only saw a whole radish on the chopping board. Ningxi gently piled it up, only to find that the radish had been cut into countless thin pieces. The host and Feng Rui, who were closest to her, were the most surprised, and the director was also confused. This knife skill. Did our program finally have a capable person? Wang, did you film it just now? The director turned to the cameraman eagerly and asked. The cameraman looked innocent. The camera was on the female guest's face. I didn't have time to turn the lens, and she had finished. You didn't get such a wonderful and important scene. Where's your professionalism? The director couldn't help shouting. Come on. It only took her about 3 or 5 seconds to cut a radish. I didn't even have time to cut the lens. The director glared at the cameraman, and then ran to communicate with Ningxi. Ningxi, I didn't expect you to have such knife skills. We are going to give you a close-up. You cut too fast just now, and the cameraman didn't have time to adjust the angle. Can you cut another one? No, 2 more. We want to shoot a close-up and a long-distance shot. You know, the audience is so difficult to please. The long-distance shot is to prevent them from saying that we are looking for a substitute. Okay. Ningxi cooperated. So Ningxi cut 2 more radishes. This time, even the audience saw it clearly. They all stared at it and talked about it. The host deliberately picked up a radish and walked to the cameraman to give it a close-up. It was indeed as thin as a cicada's wing. I'm afraid it can't be cut without 7 or 8 years of practice, right? Then, Ningxi began to make braised pork. Old soy sauce, light soy sauce, cooking wine, rock sugar, star anise, ginger, spring onion, pepper, fragrant leaves in less than 3 minutes. Ningxi prepared all the ingredients and put them aside neatly. Then she picked up a piece of pork belly with the skin, poured cold water into the pot, added star anise, ginger, fragrant leaves and pepper, and began to cook it over high heat. After the water boiled, Ningxi fished out the meat, carefully scraped the dirt and hair on the surface with a knife, and then evenly cut it into a 3-centimeter square. His movements were as smooth as flowing water, without the slightest stumbling. Ningxi, I saw you brought this grass. What's it for? It's commonly known as malin, also known as malin. It's often used by the people to tie zongzi and various cooked meats. Using it to tie red braised pork won't loosen up. What's so special about this clay pot? Actually, you can use other electronic pots instead, but I feel that although using a clay pot might take a little longer, it will be more delicious. Ningxi looked very serious when she was cooking, as if she was completing a very important work of art. After asking a few questions, the host didn't dare to disturb her. From the beginning to the end, Ningxi did not deliberately show off her skills. She was just cooking seriously, but people could not take their eyes off her unconsciously. It turned out that without any pranks or boring interactions between male and female guests, just watching someone cook could be so interesting. It could even be said to be a kind of enjoyment. This was a special charm that belonged to the professional field. Finally, a pot of braised pork was ready. The exciting moment had arrived. Chapter 1063. The moment Ningxi lifted the lid of the casserole with heat-resistant gloves, the entire studio was filled with a fragrant aroma. The red braised pork had an alluring luster. The host swallowed hard and said, "Now let's invite our male guests to have a taste of Beauty Ning's cooking. You have to eat it all." Previously, there had been situations where the food looked good but tasted terrible. Therefore, no one dared to take it lightly until they tasted it. Feng Rue had made full preparations before going on the show in case he vomited. He hadn't even drunk a sip of water before coming here, so he was famished. Therefore, when he saw the appearance of the dish, he couldn't help but salivate even though he was still vigilant. Feng Rue sat at the small dining table, and, under everyone's nervous gaze, carefully picked up a piece of red braised pork and took a bite. Then a second bite, a third bite, a second piece, a third piece, rice. Feng Rue took a moment to say, "Oh." The host hurriedly handed him a bowl of rice. Then Feng Rue almost forgot that he was still in the studio. He ate 1 mouthful of meat, 1 mouthful of rice, and when he was tired of it, he added a few crispy and refreshing carrots. He didn't even lift his head. Feng Rue finished the whole pot of white rice with a plate of red braised pork and a plate of white carrots. The host, the staff, and the audience all stared at him intently as he finished eating. It wasn't until Feng Rue finished the last bit of gravy in the braised pork with rice balls that everyone came to their senses. Everyone's first reaction was, "Fuck. You should have at least left a piece for us." In the end, there wasn't even a piece of carrots left, let alone meat. Feng Rue seemed to be in disbelief that he had finished eating just like that. He scratched his head in embarrassment and said, I'm sorry everyone. Ningxi's cooking is so delicious. I've never eaten such delicious red braised pork before. Oh, and that carrot, it's delicious too. I don't know how to describe it, but it's so delicious. In the past, I've seen a saying that true delicacies can make people forget everything. I probably felt it just now, and I really almost forgot that I was still recording a show. The host burst into tears. It's useless even if you say anything now. There's nothing left. We can't sense anything. Finally, after the show, Ningxi made another plate with the remaining ingredients and distributed it to the staff and the audience. The director cried bitterly. He really wanted to make Ningxi a regular guest, so that he could eat her every day in the future. As for the cameraman, he used his last shred of rationality to record this scene. For this episode of Beauty's Private Kitchen, the director made an exception and used an extremely strange editing method. The program lasted 40 minutes. Ningxi cooked for half an hour, and Feng Rui ate for 10 minutes. Yes, for a full 10 minutes, there was no interaction at all. It was purely a scene of him eating. As a result, when the program was broadcasted on the weekend, the ratings actually surpassed Jiang Mai's episode and broke the highest record ever since the program was broadcasted. The number of views of the online video exceeded 10 million in just one day, especially during the late-night hours, where the number of views increased the fastest. At the same time, this episode's video quickly occupied Weibo's trending searches and headlines, and its popularity continued to skyrocket. Chapter 1064. The most beautiful female guest in the history of Beauty's private home cuisine, the nation's wife Ningxi. Only you and food can't be let down. The official Weibo of the production team also exploded. Both old and new audiences were bombarded. The most surprising thing was that there was actually a large group of mother fans. Frowny face. I actually stared at a man eating in the middle of the night without fast-forwarding for a whole 10 minutes. This episode is toxic. Toxic in the middle of the night. Director, come out and I promise I won't beat you to death. The male guest of this episode is so cute. He's different from those coquettish bitches outside, begging for the female guest to wear the same dress. It's so beautiful. I can eat 3 bowls of rice just by looking at the goddess's face. I can even eat shit looking at the goddess's face. She's beautiful, has a good figure, and cooks so well. Goddess, marry me. Daughter, do you need a mother-in-law? I have a son. He's obedient and went to college. He pays all his salary. Ningxi was happily scrolling through the comments online, but Lu Tingxiao was naturally not so happy. What national's wife? She's clearly my wife. Ningxi sensed the devil's mood and hurriedly went over to comfort him. Hee darling, don't be sad. The director said that because I performed very well, he wants to invite me again. I've thought about it. Next time, I'll wait for our movie to be released. Then I'll talk to the director and go dressed as a man. Then I'll bring you along. Oh, it's Kumingyu. How about it? Isn't it perfect? Lu Tingxiao glanced at the girl. Yes, thank you for your guidance, senior. Ha ha ha, good boy. Ningxi suddenly laughed. She inexplicably felt like she had slept with Lu Tingxiao. It was so cool. Just then, her phone rang, indicating that there was a new text message from an unknown number. Brat, tomorrow at 3 p.m., prepare to dress as a woman and die. The arrogant tone and the dozens of angry exclamation marks behind it. Needless to say, it was Zhuang Rongguang. After so many days, Ningxi had almost forgotten about it. It was hard for Zhuang Rongguang, who was always slacking off, to still remember it until now. It seemed that she had made him hate her pretty well. As she was thinking, her phone rang again. It was Zhuangke who called. Ningxi immediately answered. Hello, Ku'er? Xiaoxi, did Rongguang send you a message and ask you to meet tomorrow? Zhuangke asked. Yeah, I just got it. He asked me to meet at 3 p.m. tomorrow. Zhuangke chuckled. Ever since my brother lost to you at the shooting range that day, he has been practicing at the shooting range without rest. Apart from eating and sleeping, he has been shooting all the time. He has even taken the initiative to ask our father for some shooting techniques. My brother and my dad have always had a bad relationship, especially when it comes to anything related to shooting. This is the first time they have peacefully discussed this kind of thing. These days, the atmosphere at home is much better, and Grandpa is also very happy. Cici, thank you so much. Hearing Zhuangke's words, Ningxi was sincerely happy. Don't mention it. I just can't bear to see others bully my friend, even your brother. On the other end of the phone, Zhuangke was moved. Then see you tomorrow. By the way, come to my house for dinner tomorrow night. My grandpa likes you very much. He asked me to invite you and take you to our house often. If you don't mind, you must come. Chapter 1065. Of course not. I'm just sorry for bothering you. It's no trouble at all. If you come, my whole family will welcome you. That's a deal. Zhuangke directly ignored her brother. Okay, see you tomorrow. After hanging up, Ningxi was in a good mood. She hummed a song and began to look for clothes in the closet. Are you in a good mood? Lu Tingxiao couldn't help asking, seeing that she was so happy after a phone call with Zhuangke. Ha 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 ha. Lu Tingxiao, let me tell you something very interesting. Ningxi beamed with joy and told him how she had beaten Zhuang Rongguang repeatedly before. I was dressed as a man, so he always thought I was a man. Finally, I told him that if he could do it, I would wear a pink princess dress and run 3 laps around the shooting range. In order to humiliate me, he started to practice shooting as if he was on steroids. Just now on the phone, Kerr was telling me that the brat was practicing so hard that he forgot to eat and sleep that he's almost going crazy. Speaking of which, I suddenly want him to win this time. I'm really looking forward to his reaction when he finds out that I'm a woman. Ha 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 ha. Looking at the girl's smile, Lu Tingxiao's dissatisfaction with Zhuang Liaoyuan lessened a lot. Did Zhuang Liaoyuan mention that to you again? Don't worry, he didn't mention it again. And I think Zhuang Rongguang is very talented. If he can change one day, Chief Zhuang will definitely give up on me. When will he come back tomorrow? Probably after dinner. I've already made an appointment with Kuer. Okay. Ningxi noticed that Lu Tingxiao kept staring at her while talking. She couldn't help touching her face. Is there something on my face? Why are you staring at me? Lu Tingxiao stared at the girl's smiling eyes, leaned over and kissed her lips. You're beautiful. Ningxi immediately covered her face shyly. Beautiful? Oh my god. The devil was getting better and better at flirting recently. He said she looked cute when she was eating. He said she looked cute when she was sleeping. He even said she was beautiful when they were talking. Ningxi, I hope you can be so happy every day when we are together. Don't worry. I'm happy every day when I'm with you. The next afternoon, Ningxi changed into men's clothes and arrived at the shooting range 10 minutes earlier. In the end, Zhuang Rongguang had arrived earlier than her. In other words, that kid had probably never left the shooting range. At this moment, Zhuang Rongguang was standing with his back to her with his hands clasped behind his back. Against the light, he had a heroic look as if he was determined to succeed or die trying. Ningxi touched her nose and couldn't help curling up the corners of her mouth. Brother Shi, you're here. Zhuangke had also arrived early. When she saw Ningxi, she immediately greeted him happily. You're here. Zhuang Rongguang turned around and looked at the newcomer with a cold expression. After not seeing him for a while, Zhuang Rongguang had lost some weight, but he didn't look tired or haggard at all. Instead, his eyes were astonishingly bright, which made her see Zhuang Liaoyuan's shadow. This kind of high-intensity shooting training could really sharpen a person. It seemed that this period of time still had some effect on him, even if the effect was only temporary. This time, Zhuang Rongguang had only done it because of a moment of anger. With Zhuang Rongguang's temperament, there was still a long way to go for him to change completely. Chapter 1066. Did you bring it? Zhuang Rongguang asked. Ningxi waved the pink plastic bag in her hand. Do you want to check it? Zhuang Rongguang glanced at her as if he didn't believe her, so he picked up the bag and checked it himself. A pair of white high heels, a pink princess dress with lace trimmings, a flower on her head, and a pair of white heart-shaped stockings. At the bottom, there was actually a pink bra. Zhuang Rongguang's face suddenly turned red, and he hastily shoved the bag back into Ningxi's hands. You pervert! Ningxi looked innocent. Didn't you ask me to wear women's clothes? Is there a woman who doesn't wear a bra? Zhuang Rongguang's face turned even redder, and he glared at her angrily. He then took a deep breath, trying not to be affected by this treacherous person. You being so sensible is exactly what I wanted. As they spoke, there were already many onlookers. Many of them were people who had come to watch the last time. Even Zhuang Liaoyuan and Zhuang Zongren deliberately made time to come. Zhuang Rongguang looked at his father and grandfather, his expression a little tense, but he quickly regained his confidence. Seems like there are enough witnesses. Ningxi smiled and made an inviting gesture. Then please. Zhuang Rongguang snorted and stared at her. Remember your promise if you're a man. If I can shoot 10 shots blindfolded, you have to. Got it, got it. I have to wear women's clothes and walk around the field 3 times. So long-winded. There are so many people here. How can I blame you? Are you going to fight or not? Ningxi waved her hand impatiently. Hearing Ningxi's words, many people at the scene cheered excitedly. Oh, wear women's clothes. Wear women's clothes. Wear women's clothes. Go Photon. Yeah, Photon, you have to win. Let's see if he can still be so arrogant. Ah, I really want to see this guy's embarrassing look in women's clothes. Go Photon. You can do it. During this time, Zhuang Rongguang had been staying in the shooting range and had become familiar with the regulars. In addition, everyone had heard Zhuang Rongguang exaggerate how Ningxi had shamelessly seduced his sister, so now they were all cheering for him. Zhuang Kuo was the goddess of all these men. She was actually seduced by this stinking brat who came out of nowhere. It was simply intolerable. The surrounding cheers encouraged Zhuang Rongguang even more, and a sense of duty to enforce justice on behalf of the heavens arose in his chest. Finally, he picked up a long black cloth and wrapped it around his eyes a few times. Then he raised the gun and accurately aimed at the target based on his intuition. The scoring began. At the scene, all the onlookers, including Zhuang Liaoyuan and Zhuang Zhongren, were holding their breath. The next second, Zhuang Rongguang pulled the trigger. Bang. 10th ring. Bang. Another 10 rings. Bang. 3 consecutive 10 rings. As Zhuang Rongguang fired shot after shot, everyone became more and more excited. Finally, 8th spear thrust, 10th ring. The 9th spear thrust, 10th ring. The 10th spear thrust. Zhuang Rongguang paused and took a deep breath. Then a bang sound, 10th spear thrust, 10th ring. With a ding sound, the scoring machine began to calculate the total score. On the screen was a bright red 10th ring. A total of 100 points. Chapter 1067. Oh. After half a second of silence, there was a sudden burst of cheers that almost broke the roof. Many of them had seen how hard Zhuang Rongguang trained these days, so when they saw him win, they were actually as happy as if they had won themselves. Whether they were new friends or old friends, they all surrounded the young man, patting his shoulder and rubbing his head. Good boy. You're really something. Blindfold 10 spears 10 rings. And it's only been a few days of training. That's amazing. Aha. Photon. I knew you could do it. That brat who seduced your sister is going to be sullen now. You brat, I really underestimated you. Turns out you've been hiding your strength. Zhuang Rongguang looked at the praises coming from the people around him. Some familiar, some unfamiliar, and some unfamiliar. There was a strange, warm feeling in his chest, giving him a feeling that he had never felt before. That kind of enthusiasm, excitement, pride, and a feeling that his whole body was filled with strength. Seeing the gratification in his father and grandfather's eyes, his eyes even turned a little sour. This was really strange. How could he have such a sentimental feeling? He was clearly afraid of hardship and tiredness, and hated shooting the most, really hated it. Hey. Brat, Photon did it, you lost. It's time for you to fulfill your promise. That's right. Hurry up and change your clothes. Let everyone take a look. You have to go around the field 3 times. Ha. If Miss Zhuang saw this brat in women's clothing, she would definitely despise him to death. Yes. Zhuang Rongguang only came back to his senses when he heard the crowd's urging. He immediately glowed and ran in front of Ningxi excitedly. Brat! I've said it before, I just didn't want to be serious with you, but when I get serious, even I'm afraid. How about it? You're not going to renege on the bet, are you? Master Guang is really good. I'm willing to accept my loss. Where's the changing room? Ningxi asked. Someone in the crowd immediately answered. It's just opposite. You can just pick an empty room and go in to change. If you're a man, you have to accept your loss. All of us are watching. Don't even think about running away. Ha. This brat is so handsome, he must look like a sissy in women's clothing. Ningxi carried the clothes and walked unhurriedly towards an empty changing room. Zhuang Rongguang felt that he had finally vented his anger. He snorted and looked at Zhuang Ku'er, who was beside him, and said, "Sister, now you can finally give up on that guy. How can that kid be compared to your brother? The worst part was that he was despicable and shameless. But until now, I still don't understand. Just how did I become enemies with this kid?" Zhuang Ku'er was trying her best not to break the barrier, so she didn't say a word. Zhuang Rongguang saw that she did not speak and thought that she was disappointed in the boy, so he became more excited and took out his phone to record. He was going to record this brat's dark history later, so that he wouldn't go back on his word and pester his sister again. A moment later, with a click, the door of the fitting room that Ningxi had just entered was suddenly pushed open from the inside. Instantly, everyone's eyes were filled with excitement as they looked towards the direction of the fitting room. They were ready to watch a good show. Chapter 1068. The next second, the phone in Zhuang Rongguang's hand fell to the ground with a loud bang. The black screen cracked into pieces, just like its owner's face. As if time had suddenly stopped, everyone stood there in a daze. In the huge shooting range, it was so quiet that one could hear a pin drop. He saw that the girl was wearing a pink princess dress that fitted her body. Her waist was slender, and her long, curly black hair was like a waterfall that outlined a soft curve around her waist. Her delicate face was as beautiful as the mountain flowers, and her eyes were as bright as the stars, as if the flowers of spring were in full bloom. A beauty. And it was a super beauty. "Ouch, you stepped on my foot." "Ah. Who pinched me? If you want to pinch me, go and do it yourself. Don't push me, don't push me." The silence finally ended, and there was a burst of sporadic commotion in the crowd. Everyone was pushing and shoving, but their eyes never left Ningxi's body. Most of the people who came to the shooting range were old men. All of them wanted to embarrass Ningxi to death, but now they didn't mention it, and their eyes were almost glued to her body. What the hell? What's going on? Is this the same person? I've been staring at her. There's no way she could be swapped. Why do I feel that her breasts are so real? A bunch of idiots. You little brats who haven't even tasted meat know nothing. With my experience and eyesight, she's a genuine woman, all right? And she's a stunning beauty. This kid Apui, this little girl was obviously a woman dressed as a man. What the hell? Is this for real? A woman dressed as a man? While the crowd was talking, Ningxi had already walked towards the crowd. Finally, Ningxi stopped in front of the dumbfounded Zhuang Rongguang and asked with a smile, "Master Guang, are you satisfied with what you see?" Zhuang Rongguang nodded blankly, and a second later he shook his head hard, his fingers trembling as he stared at her in disbelief. You're a woman?" Ningxi smiled lightly. Yes. This guy actually dared to admit it in such a nonchalant manner. Wasn't he not afraid of being beaten to death? Zhuang Rongguang felt a mouthful of blood stuck in his throat. He felt like he had suffered an internal injury. "You're a woman. You are a woman. Then why did you say that you were dressed as a girl and walked around the arena 3 times? You fuck." At this very moment, Zhuang Rongguang finally realized that he had been played. However, what was even more tragic was that it would be fine if he was facing that stinky brat. But it just had to be a great beauty, causing him to be unable to get angry. He had finally won with great difficulty, but he felt even more aggrieved. No, how could he win? His opponent was a woman. A woman was so good at shooting, and he was a man. Even if he won, how could he be so smug? Zhuang Rongguang felt that he was about to go berserk from being abused. "Wow. Xiaoxi, I've never seen you wear this before. You look so cute. It suits you so well." Zhuang Ku'er took Ningxi's hand and circled her excitedly. Zhuang Ku'er's reaction was undoubtedly a stab in Zhuang Rongguang's heart. Zhuang Rongguang was even more confused. "Sister, you already knew?" Zhuang Ku'er nodded. "I know. Then why didn't you tell me?" Zhuang Rongguang roared from the depths of his soul. "You didn't ask me." Whitecrack recommends a very good and popular article. Yi Bei's The Unparalleled Alchemist, Hedonistic Mistgeo. If you like to read about strong female fantasy, you can check it out. Chapter 1069. Not far away, Zhuangzongren was just watching the group of young people with a smile, but when he saw Ningxi come out in that dress, his eyes instantly turned red, and he murmured incredulously, "Aci? Aci?" Zhuang Liaoyuan couldn't help but be surprised when he saw his father's excited reaction. Aci? Wasn't that his mother's nickname? That child really looks like Aci when she was young. Zhuangzongren murmured tremblingly, and his eyes were full of deep longing and love for his late wife. When Zhuangzongren first met Ningxi, she went to talk about business. Her makeup and clothes were very smart and capable, so he didn't notice it at that time. But today, Ningxi didn't put on any makeup and was wearing a pink princess dress, which made Zhuangzongren find that she really looked like his beloved wife, Aci, when he first met her. He didn't expect that Lingyu and Ku'er didn't look like Aci, but his granddaughter, Ningxi, looked so much like her. Zhuang Liaoyuan looked at Ningxi's direction and tried to recall his mother, but because his mother died early, he almost had no impression of her. But he vaguely remembered a photo of his mother standing beside his father in a princess dress, smiling like a flower. His mother's temperament in that photo was indeed very similar to Ningxi's at this moment. At night, in the manor, Zhuangzongren asked the servants to prepare a table full of delicious dishes. Before, Zhuangzongren's attitude towards Ningxi was polite and grateful, but now he was kind and enthusiastic. At the dinner table, the old man kept putting food into Ningxi's bowl. "Xiaoxi, eat more. Eat more." "Thank you, old sir." Ningxi was a little flattered by the old man's overly enthusiastic attitude. Zhuang Rongguang, who was eating a chicken drumstick, suddenly felt that something was wrong. Then he stared at Ningxi. After a while, he suddenly stood up and stared at Ningxi excitedly. "Oh my God! I remember. You're the woman who tripped me when I was running away at home that day." Zhuangzongren looked displeased when he heard that. "Why are you making a fuss? Sit down. Also, don't call her this woman or that woman. Xiaoxi is older than you. You should call her sister." Zhuang Rongguang looked as if he had seen a ghost. "Am I crazy? I called her sister. I say, sister, what kind of grudge do you have against me? Why have you been torturing me the moment we met?" As soon as he finished speaking, Zhuang Liaoyuan, who was at the side, coldly glanced at his son with a displeased expression and reprimanded. "Impudent." Zhuang Rongguang looked at his grandfather, then at his father and suddenly howled. "Why are all of you speaking up for her? Did we get the wrong baby back then? She's your biological daughter." Zhuangzongren glared at his grandson with a stern face. "I hope it was a mistake. Unfortunately, there isn't one." Zhuang Rongguang, who was mercilessly despised, immediately burst into tears. "Xiaoxi, how's your work? Are you busy? Are you tired?" Zhuangzongren ignored his grandson and looked at Ningxi with concern. Feeling the sincere concern in the old man's tone, Ningxi hurriedly said, "It's going well. I'm not tired. I like my current job very much." "Oh, that's good. I heard from Ku, or that you also opened a clothing company. Don't tire yourself out." "Yes, I know," Ningxi hurriedly responded. Chapter 1070. Zhuangzongren thought about it and asked, "Where do you live now? Is it the dormitory arranged by the company?" "I used to live in an apartment arranged by the company, but I'm going to move soon. The company has been making a lot of money recently and I just bought a house," Ningxi answered. Zhuangzongren was pleased to hear that. "You're so young and self-reliant. That's good." With that, he looked at his good-for-nothing grandson with disdain. Zhuang Rongguang. He had been eating in silence. Why did he have to be blamed? This woman was born to punish him, right? "How are you getting along with little Lu? He didn't bully you, did he? Kur said he had an affair last time. What happened?" Zhuangzongren finally asked the question he was most concerned about. Ningxi coughed lightly and said hurriedly, "Sir, we're fine. What happened last time was a misunderstanding. I've explained it." That's good, Zhuangzongren murmured. His face became serious as he thought of something. Xiaoxi was an adopted daughter of the Ning family from the countryside. With Lu Tingxiao's family background, Lu Chongshan and Yan Rui wouldn't agree so easily. Back then, he had sworn not to interfere in Ling Yu's affairs. Ningxi was her daughter and her relationship with the Ning family was so complicated. But a man's heart was made of flesh. Looking at his granddaughter, such a good girl, who looked so much like Aci, he couldn't bear to ignore her. During the meal, Zhuangkuer vaguely noticed that her grandfather and father seemed to treat Ningxi strangely. But she couldn't tell what was wrong. In the end, she could only attribute it to the fact that Xiaoxi had saved her grandfather's life, so her grandfather and father were so grateful to her. The new villa Ningxi bought had a nice name, Peach Blossom Cove. After the security system was set up, Ningxi told Lin Jiji that she was going to move and picked a day to move. As long as Ningxi was still a member of the company, the apartment at Pearl River Regency would always be hers. So many things that were inconvenient to take away were left there. The moving company was efficient and orderly, and the things were soon moved downstairs. While moving things, Ningxi accidentally discovered a troublesome thing. A huge diamond. This thing was given to her by Yinshan on the first day of filming, Under the Heavens. Later on, she had been looking for an opportunity to return it to him, but there had never been a suitable opportunity. Ningxi closed the lid and looked around. She didn't think she had missed anything, so she went downstairs. "Beauty, is there anything else?" the movers asked. "Let's go, there's nothing left." "All right." Ningxi was about to get on the car and leave when she was suddenly stopped by someone. Ningxi. Ningxi subconsciously turned her head and saw Ning Yaohua, whom she hadn't seen for a long time. "Chairman Ning called me." "What Director Ning?" "I am your father." Ning Yaohua looked displeased. His gaze swept over the large truck behind her. "What are you doing?" "Move." "Is there a problem?" "That's great, you can move back home. I came here to talk to you about this," Ning Yaohua said. Chapter 1071. Ningxi raised her eyebrows. "Move home? Oh, Chairman Ning, are you drunk today?" Hearing Ningxi's sarcastic tone, Ning Yaohua didn't fly into a rage. Instead, he said gently, "Ningxi, you are my daughter after all. I will take care of you no matter what. You are a girl. It's not good for you to stay outside all the time. Why don't you move back home? Our house is big and your original room is always there." Hearing this, Ningxi almost laughed out loud. Her original room. It was only 1/3 the size of Ning Xueluo's room, and it was converted from a servant's room. The reason was that they were afraid that she would dirty other rooms, so they asked her to learn etiquette before moving her to another room. Later. There was no later. Ningxi looked thoughtfully at Ning Yaohua, who was full of eagerness. There was only one reason for Ning Yaohua's sudden change in attitude. Grandpa was going to make a will. After he came back from the hospital last time, Grandpa had the intention to make a will. Did he want the shares in her hands? Although she didn't want the Ning family's things, since it was given to her by Grandpa, she couldn't hand it over to Ning Yaohua. Ningxi, did you hear what Dad said? Look, I happen to be here today. I happen to see you moving. Why don't you just move back? Ning Yaohua said. Ningxi crossed her arms, glanced at the truck and sneered. Are you sure that the room in the house can hold my things? Ning Yaohua's face stiffened. Although there are many rooms in the house, they are all useful. And it's not good to let you live in the guest room. You can put these things in the warehouse for the time being if you don't need them. Ningxi looked at the man with a faint smile and said slowly, Let me go back? Okay, let me live in the room that belongs to me. Ning Yaohua's face suddenly changed. Ningxi, what do you mean? Are you going to take Shueluo's room? Shueluo has lived there since she was a child. How can it be her room? Compared with Ningxi, Ning Yaohua was naturally on Ning Shueluo's side. Ningxi lost interest after playing for a while. She didn't want to talk to Ning Yaohua anymore and turned to leave. Ningxi, stop. Where are you planning to move to? Ning Yaohua chased after him and asked. Clearly, he still hadn't given up. I bought my own house, Ningxi replied casually. Ning Yaohua laughed. What kind of decent house can you buy with that little money? A single apartment or a 2-bedroom apartment? It's not that I want to criticize you, but it's not as good as home. Why did he have to go out and suffer? You should have quit your job a long time ago. Before Ningxi could speak, the truck driver who had been watching them for a long time couldn't bear it anymore. He poked his head out and said, "Sir, the house your daughter bought is Peach Blossom Cove." After Ningxi got in the car, the driver slammed the door and started the engine. The moving truck sped away. Ning Yaohua ate a mouthful of car exhaust and stood rooted to the ground, unable to regain his senses. Peach Blossom Dock. Could it be that he had misheard? The house Ningxi bought was Peach Blossom Cove? How could it be the Peach Blossom Dock? Peach Blossom Cove was a villa that sold for tens of millions of yuan. It was even in a better location than the Ning family's villa. It was also one of the famous rich areas. How could Ningxi afford a villa there? Chapter 1072. She had only accepted a few minor roles and participated in a few variety shows that didn't earn much money. Ning Yaohua suddenly remembered Lu Jingli, who had come to pick Ningxi up last time. Was Lu Jingli keeping Ningxi? Did he buy her the house? That didn't seem right. After the last time, he had asked someone to find out that Ningxi and Lu Jingli were just ordinary superiors and subordinates. If there was really something going on between the two, how could Ningxi not have gotten a decent film until now? Peach Blossom Cove. Masters, sorry to trouble you. Have some water. As soon as Ningxi's voice fell, a silver metal robot carried a pot of water and a few cups and walked toward the movers. Oh, okay. Thank you, pretty lady. This. Several movers were surprised to see that it was a robot that came to deliver people. Ningxi smiled. Don't be nervous. It's a robot. It's very smart. The robot scanned the three movers, then poured a glass of water for each of them, and delivered it to their hands accurately. The three of them were amazed. Actually, when they first came in, they noticed that every part of the house gave off a very high-tech feeling. Rich people were really good at playing. After the movers finished moving the things, they went out. Ningxi began to organize things happily. Mantu, play a song for me. Master, my name is Andrew, not Mantu. Master, what song do you want to listen to? Anything. A moment later, the sound of "Hey, today is a good day, everything you want can come true, tomorrow is a good day, open the door and let us welcome the spring breeze." Hearing this, Ningxi staggered and almost fell. Okay, this song is good song. Thank you, Mantu. Master, my name is Andrew, not Mantu. It's my honor to serve you. Xiaobao treasured his robots the most. They were usually kept in a special computer room in the Platinum Gold Palace. This time, Ningxi had given his most precious robot butler to Xiaobao as a gift when she moved. Ningxi had just finished organizing when the doorbell rang. She had just moved here. Who would be looking for her? Ningxi glanced at the surveillance camera and found it was Lu Tingxiao. She hurriedly opened the door. Boss, why are you here? Come on in. Didn't I tell you not to come today? Because you were busy with work? Lu Tingxiao said. No matter how busy I am, I still have to come over to tidy up our new house. Cough, cough, cough. Okay. Then why don't you just enter the password? Lu Tingxiao. I like it when you open the door for me. Ningxi. Could they still talk happily? All right, she was actually quite happy being teased. As soon as Lu Tingxiao stepped through the door, he heard a loud and clear voice saying, "Today is a good day." His expression was a little incredulous. This song is pretty good. Ha 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 ha. You think it's not bad? He chose the steamed buns himself. How adorable. Especially when he always said that my name is Andrew, not Mantu. Lu Tingxiao looked at the robot and inexplicably felt that there seemed to be another competitor in the family. With the help of Lu Tingxiao, Ningxi soon tidied up her room. Then she stood in front of the bed and looked at her new home with satisfaction. It's almost done. I'll buy some things for you and Xiaobao later. That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.